This episode of Montreal by Night contains coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome back, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to... What could I describe our podcast this week? Sinister, lovable, cherished, really the Jeff Goldblum of the podcasting world.
I think Jeff Goldblum has recently entered the podcasting world, so I don't know if you can get away with that.
Yeah, I have to do something like more ominous but cuddly. The Keanu Reeves of the podcasting world. Like, he can be John Wick, but also he's lovable.
Tyson's the Kristen Bell of the podcasting world. Really bringing some gossip girl energy to the table.
Oh god, okay. Guys, in that case, Ethan, what is Ethan to the podcasting world?
Oh goodness me. Okay, so wait, in that case, let me redo the introduction for you guys. And let me just do the comparison here. Welcome, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to another episode of Montreal by Night. I am your storyteller, Tyson Fraleigh. Tyson Fraleigh? Jesus Christ.
Did you just say your last name wrong?
You stuffed up your own name.
It's your name, Tyson.
I am your storyteller, Tyson Fraleigh. The Kristen Bell of the podcasting world, as informed by my compatriots here. The first, we have Ethan Jonah, the Ryan Reynolds of every essentially rom-com where he gets what is the term, friend zoned, like that kind of comedy.
Fair.
Right. So all the worst ones then.
I mean, Deadpool is a rom-com.
Actually, that's fair. That is fair.
Next up, we have Brenten Edwards, Tom Cruise if he was actually 6 feet tall and not a Scientologist.
I still don't know whether to be flattered or a little bit insulted by that, but I'll err on the side of friendly because you Canadians are always so nice and so lovely.
And finally, we have Takeshi Fukushima, truly the Tony Hawk of the group, the most badass, but even skateboarders can't identify him at first glance.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Listeners, you called in and you told us you wanted more skateboard stunts, and we're here to deliver.
By the people, for the people, right?
With all the shenanigans out of the way, let's get back to this episode. I don't know why I took a pause there. Let's take it back to this episode of Montreal by Night with a little recap. Last time, the party invaded the apartment of Frederick Lake, discovered more about his secret cooperation with the Conductor, Abigail Bray, who seemed to be under the name Francine, as well as something known as Operation Sunscorch. You guys were able to show Frederick that he was being manipulated by this head vampire, and thus able to turn him to your side. Though you have a tenuous alliance, you guys were able to get a lot of information, obtaining a very powerful item known as St. Augustus's Heart, as well as equipping a lot of items and weapons around the area. You also found the diablerized corpses of many members of the vampire community, from which you decided to burn down the apartment as Frederick left, and you guys have just descended the stairs being given an ominous vision of the future from Asher. This prophetic, apocalyptic vision of the end, of some sort of endless control forever and ever. And that is where we left off. So, you guys arrive at the base floor of the apartment building. You step out from the elevator. What would you like to do?
Get a drink, because after that was way too heavy. Good lord.
Well, that was fun. Let's get going. I don't want to stay here next to a giant torch signaling our presence.
Where to next, then?
Perhaps the mayor's office? Or we can find the directory for the office. I would be interested to know if there's any Francine working there.
See, I think the directory might be the way to go. Knowledge is power, after all, see? Isn't that what the Ventru say?
And do you have a strategy on how to find this directory?
The internet.
What is this internet?
Nakano, you know what the internet is. It's how we get to that blog. Actually, Talisen, are there any updates since my last post?
Not a bad question. One moment. So I'll go in on my smartphone and log into the blog, and I'll see if there's any reaction to that rather inflammatory message that Asher left.
Okay. Asher, please make a charisma plus persuasion or a charisma plus leadership check. Your choice.
5 successes. With my brand new dice pool of 5.
Talisen, you go up onto the blog. You do kind of scroll down a little bit, and you do see what looks to be a anonymous, like, essentially guest account that had posted right underneath Asher's comment, kind of replying to him, that reads, "Fuck the power." You then refresh the page, and the post is taken down.
Interesting. Can I remember the details? Just like, what time it was posted, just some of the basic info.
It would seem to be posted probably maybe 10 minutes before you guys checked it.
So recent. Alright, well. So, gentlemen, as it turns out, we may not be as alone in this as we originally thought. Now, normally, I would assume this may be from Bruja brethren, since they are usually the most willing to fight any power or any cause for any reason. However, I'm not really getting any more information from the post other than that they want to fuck the power. Any insights from you two?
It may not be quite as prominent a dissidence as that. It could just be that Ambrosia and Esther's play has been shown to be false. And there are those in our community that have now seen that. And perhaps Ambrosia's control is not as complete as we thought.
Excellent. This will make our job easier. What else do we need to do exactly? Right now, we still need to go to the cairn. We need to go to the mayor's office. If we are to recruit more vampires to our side, having knowledge of, the mayor trying to oust us from his city would definitely help us gain followers. Is there anything else that you feel that we need to do? I can't help but thinking we should potentially get some more kindred on our side.
Finding Bray's home address could be promising, or even whatever dummy address that she included in her identity as Francine.
Have we gone over in any detail what we found in, like, the documents that we found in Prism and in Frederick Lake's apartment? Because we got a lot of intel. Like, we got a lot of meaty intel there.
The Prism stuff is with Keeper Nayla, who is going through it for us so that we don't have to spend the time on it. The documents from Lake, I have the book, and Nakano has the heart. And I will need your help to translate the book at some point. But I think that I would prefer to be within Point St. Charles when we do that.
That's fair. What time is it, Tyson?
It's getting around 1:32 a.m.
So in terms of light that we've got left, it'd be about 4 or 5 hours worth of light?
About that.
October sunrise is about 7:30.
So, we have 6 hours, give or take. Really, the only thing I can see us being able to accomplish this evening is to go into the mayor's office. We can't go to the cairn. We can't really go and recruit other kindred. We probably need more information for that. I would say this mayor's office is probably the best way to go, unless anybody else has any ideas.
Are you able to find the staff directory for the mayor's office online?
It shouldn't be too difficult. I'll take a look online for the directory for the mayor's office.
Nothing too crazy as far as like researching is concerned. You look it up. You do not see any mentions of Francine on the staff.
I mean, that's fair.
Perhaps we visit the mayor's house.
The house or the office?
At this time, the house.
I do enjoy that idea.
You know, my friend, while I love your sense of humor, it kind of scares me when you laugh like that. All right, fine. Let us go to the mayor's house then. Pay him a visit. See if he feels like a drink at this time of the evening.
Tyson, reminds me what the rules around blood bonds are for typical kindred.
Simply put, in like a very like summary sense, it's enslaving a lesser kindred to your service because they become obsessed with the blood bond that you build with them. So the way that you do that is similar to how you embrace someone. You essentially have to feed them your vitae in consumption, and then they become addicted to it. So it's essentially making a ghoul, but doing it in the relationship of another kindred.
But it also works for mortals and ghouls as well, right? It's creating a thrall.
Yeah, you're able to create a thrall. It doesn't... Essentially, the only difference is that blood bonds are built between kindred. Doing it between a vampire and a mortal is just creating a ghoul or a thrall.
So Asher has some difficulty doing that. But he says, well, I can think of at least a couple ways to make the mayor amenable to our process, our goals.
Well, we may not need to go so far. I have a couple of disciplines that may be able to help.
I am concerned that if we deal with him in the short term, that in the long term, we will have to deal with increased prism exposure within the city.
No, of course, I understand. I'm thinking in terms of, I've got an ability called entrancement. The vampire focuses their unnatural allure on a single person, instilling in them a rapt fascination or infatuation akin to falling head over heels in love or meeting one's lifelong idol. The person affected does their best to remain in the vampire's good graces, but stops short of causing themselves or their other loved ones physical harm.
What's the duration?
It's a number of hours equal to essentially the dice difference, like the success difference between the person who rolls the save and the person who is activating the effect.
So that is my concern, that we do this in the short term, and then once freed, Bray acquires more power because of our actions.
It's not like he goes back to hating me afterwards. It's not like he's like, oh my god, this guy made me feel madly in love with him. I now hate him for all eternity, and I'm going to hunt him to the rest of my days.
I feel like that would be a fairly reasonable reaction to that.
Well, the way I've seen it is more of the fact that you've met your idol and you're like, oh wow, cool, I met my idol, and then it sort of passes, as opposed to, I mean, you know the effect of our abilities on the mortals. There's plenty of times where they just simply forget or become less interested as our abilities wear off.
I do not think that will be true of someone who has already brought anti-kindred weaponry into the city, Talisen.
Whether knowingly or not.
That is more the point I was thinking. If someone's gone to him and said, hey, we've got a threat in the city, he will be compelled as the mayor to actually act on that. Whereas, that's a very big difference to him seeking these people out. And I think that knowledge will be able to guide our hand in the ways to best deal with him.
I suggest that you bind him, Talisen, and make him a thrall. With some time, I can detect if he has already been made a thrall by others.
That would be useful. So in terms of thralldom, what then happens once he is my thrall?
So once you blood bond a mortal, essentially what happens is they are essentially bound to you to do as you wish. They will look to you essentially for any kind of guidance. They'll look to you for permission to do things. And every time that you give them an order, if they don't want to do it, they have to make a check to attempt to resist the blood bond. Otherwise, they have to listen to everything you say.
In relation to this, would this have been the thing that Anastasia the Red, Talison's sire, would have done to him to enslave him and have him under her command during prior to his turning into a vampire?
This would be the technique that she would use to essentially control any mortal that came into her life that she found fascinating.
Right, so this is basically mental enslavement.
It's definitely not freedom. Like, people are bound to you through addiction, basically. It's essentially like being a drug supplier, but they gain like more power from it. But they're also like addicted to the taste of the vitae.
Interesting, because this is the thing. This might be something that I'm assuming would result in a stain being put on Talisen, because this happened to him, and that's like one of the reasons he's been running for hundreds of years.
Yeah, so this would be considered breaking a conviction.
Okay, what would the breaking of a conviction happen to Talisen?
So breaking convictions and touchstones have their own penalties. So it could be just something as simple as like gaining a stain, but there also can be like worse consequences, depending. Essentially, it can also affect your humanity. It can also force you to make a remorse check, which could cripple you.
What would the crippling do?
Essentially, it would give you. It could throw you into a frenzy. It could give you a temporary disadvantage, like with your dice pool. It could also deal damage to your willpower that you would need to figure out a way to like fix.
Can you release someone from a blood bond?
Yes, but you would have to essentially, like when you feed someone like your vitae, the amount that they drink, one drink equals 1 month of servitude. So you would have to essentially have them waited out until like they've fully extinguished the vitae, from which they'll start going through withdrawal, very reminiscent of like being addicted to some sort of drug. Depending on how many like conviction, like how strong the conviction is that you break, it can also result in the destruction of a touchstone. Your touchstones are the people who are important around you. So it might unintentionally lead to the destruction of an ally.
Destruction as in I'd kill them, or they would just die?
Death, it could be unexpected consequences for difficulties for the future. It could be like there's a whole lot of consequences as far as that. Like maybe they'll just suddenly distrust you and no longer based on your actions. They might distrust your ethics and your way of being. Yeah, so there's a lot of different consequences that can come from breaking a conviction. It just depends on like which one and like what exactly the purpose of breaking that conviction is.
Okay, so you're suggesting that we make the mayor our thrall, enslave his mind, take away his free will, essentially make him our tool for the length of time it is required for us to resolve the situation, see? Or are you proposing a more long-term enslavement?
I do not think that a full blood bond is necessary. It's my understanding that having the sharing vitae just the once does not remove free will. It merely makes them more susceptible to persuasion.
So my understanding of the process of creating a thrall is, I'm sure you've seen these substances, Nakano, the opium back in the day, and some of the newer narcotics, Asher. I believe it has a similar effect as one who has become addicted to those substances. The reason I know this is I was under the effect myself for about 6 to 8 years. The time was a little fuzzy. I was not given particularly pleasant introduction to the world of the kindred. My sire made me her thrall, used me as a plaything, and then used me as a soldier to protect her seat of power during the revolution. As a result, I take issue to creating this man a thrall. Or making this man a thrall, I should say. Look, if it needs to be done, it needs to be done. I would prefer it not to happen. I would prefer him to be given a choice. I believe one's mind is their own. It should be sacred. The sanctity of one's mind is sacred. Now, if this man needs to be my thrall, then I will make him my thrall. Because we are doing it for the betterment of Montreal and the betterment of all the creatures of the night. But if there is some way that we can persuade him to do this of his own will, then I would much prefer to go that route. Trust me when I say losing one's free will, having no choice but to act in a manner very contradictory to your own, is a very distressing process, distressing state of being. I would not advise it. There is a reason that I am so aggressive when it comes to the chance of myself or my friends ending up captured, because that is more than likely what will happen. So, if we can persuade him, I would prefer that to be the case. If not, then, well, I will do what must be done.
I understand your concerns. My clan has a long history with blood bonds. But at this moment, if things go sour, we can't kill the mayor. It's too obvious. And we can't deal with that right now.
See, I'm simply letting you know of the reasons behind my objections to parts of this plan. I've figured you have both earned my trust to at least let you know of some of my background, whereas nobody else in the vampire community in Montreal is aware of this information. So, do with that as what you will.
Thank you for your trust.
In any case, we do not know what will happen when we get to the mayor's house. It is useless to conjecture. We go there, we see what happens, and we do what we have to do.
Oh wait, are we in the car at this point? Or what are we doing?
I was actually going to ask, Talisen, do you know any paparazzi that would know the address?
Sure, I could find someone. And you just say wherever Talisen is, he's sort of got his fists balled sort of very tightly. This is the one of the only times that you know there is no cheeky grin or ghost of a joke or anything like that on him. This is one of the few times you've seen him completely serious.
Asher sees Talisen with that like body language and just goes, let me check if I can find it. You take your time.
Make a intelligence investigation check.
While that's happening, and Nakano, I guess is driving. I'm gonna make an executive decision and say we're driving. Nakano's gonna reach into his pocket with one hand. He's gonna take the bread knife that he took from Talisen out, and he's gonna hand it back to Talisen, and he's gonna say, "Here, this is your bread knife."
I'll sort of, because I'm sort of, I've got my fists clenched, and sort of going to like the chain smoking thing. So it's just smoke, Like, just draw it in as much as possible, and then straight away use it to light another one. So I'll stop that, like, almost sort of manic situation of smoking, fists clenched, and I'll sort of stop and see this bread knife and sort of break me out of my little cycle and be like, so you didn't steal the silverware?
No, you gave it to me, remember?
Yes, I do. Thank you for returning it, Nakano. And I'll open my coat pocket and stick it on the inside and say, who knows, maybe I'll need to very angrily butter some toast at some point in the future. Or, stab someone with the butter knife. Regardless, thank you for returning it, Nakano. And, you'll notice that the regular smoothness that is such a core part of Talisen's character is starting to break down a little at this point. He's not quite that ever charming, ever smooth individual that he always is. And you just then go back into that manic cycle of smoking, fists balled, smoking, fists balled.
For Asher, you kind of look through a series of articles online. As you do find, there is one article that was done by the Gazette. That it's a small article. It doesn't seem like it's gotten too much attention. As it mentions that the mayor had, out of kind of a surprise, it's a little bit more of like a scandal piece, that he bought a nice, like, rooftop apartment in Place Jacques Cartier, like right nearby the actual municipal buildings. It's kind of like a little bit of a scandal piece, because it's kind of like one of those, like, PR pieces, like, ooh, like, where is all this money coming from the mayor? He refused to comment about what exactly the purpose of this recent purchase was, but we do know it's a very fine apartment, and we'll be interested in seeing how the mayor will be interacting with the municipal offices after this event.
And when was this article published? Like, when was the purchase made?
This was about the time of the mayor's appointment to the office, which was about 6 to 8 months ago.
Okay. Because I was just thinking, if it had been a recent purchase, it might not be the mayor living in that apartment. And what is the mayor's name and pronoun?
The mayor is a he, François Tremblay.
We will drive towards Mayor Tremblay's new apartment, or condo.
Talisen is out of it for this drive. He's just 1,000 yards stare into the back of the seat, and then he'll sort of have a moment of like, hey, we're going to do something dangerous here, and he'll scan around a bit, and then he'll just 1,000 yards stare into the back of the seat. Talisen is, at the moment, he's trying to mentally steel himself for what he may have to do. Whether or not he is succeeding, I guess we'll see when push comes to shove. But yeah, he's definitely reliving some things.
Asher kind of leans over and says, "You know, Talisen, I was just making a suggestion. It's just an option. It is not an option that we need to follow through with."
See, correct. However, it is a viable option.
Yes, but it does not have to be you performing the bond either. And who knows? We have done a good job so far of making friends of our enemies. Perhaps that cycle could be continued. The mayor could be completely ignorant of our world, or if he's been informed, it could be in a way that makes us boogeyman.
See, I must admit it would be far more beneficial to persuade him willingly. Means I can shut my own demons back in their box for a while. And it would also mean if we do need to make a play for the leadership of the city, of the vampire community in the city, it would be very beneficial, once we take that leadership, to have the human leader on our side.
I entirely agree. Let's go in there, let's scope things out, and we have a bunch of options. We don't need to get too worried about one.
See, I believe between your or our persuasive talents, we may stand a chance of simply convincing him. However, if required, I will do what must be done. And sort of, he'll have a more steely look at that point, like, it's got to happen, it's got to happen. He's sort of trying to G himself up internally to make this decision.
Well, Talisen, I don't think I'm as persuasive as you, nor will I ever be. I think that people in our world are disarmed by honesty. Hopefully, Mayor Tremblay will be the same.
One way to find out, I suppose. Let's get on with it. All this talk of it, all this waiting, is making me edgy. I want it over. He's still chain smoking at this stage. You know, you can see in the like that full packet that he had is now at about halfway, just on the drive. It's just smoke, toss it, smoke, toss it. Some of the butts are on the inside of the thing. Some of them he's just he's not paying attention to that at the moment, which is good that he's undead, because probably be doing him some serious damage otherwise.
In which case you guys arrive at Place Jacques-Cartier, the essentially open thoroughfare of Old Port. The cobblestone streets, the older architecture, that kind of like the solid stone facades, the overhanging streetlights, these very beautiful glasswork, and it almost feels like a somewhat encapsulation of what the city might have looked like near 100, 200 years ago. Of course, now, for the most part, a lot of the area is mostly either tourist destinations, or also like fine dining restaurants in this area. It's also right next to the water, kind of looking out into the major port heading into the St. Lawrence. This beautiful, essentially open air expanse and view into the river that leads out into the ocean to the distant east.
Upon arriving in this part, Talisen will get out of the car and sort of scuff his feet along the because you've got cobbled roads in that, or some cobbled roads in that part. Sort of scuff his feet along some of the cobble roads and run his fingers along some of the stone buildings. This is very much like when he was visiting France around the time of his becoming a thrall. So this, as far as places to go that could be most reminiscent of the bad things that have happened to him around the time of his introduction to the kindred community, this is bang on. So he's getting a bit lost in it again.
At which point you guys travel down a series of streets leading to a very lavish 2-story building that you immediately see, crafted from what looks to be like a thick gray stone, and you can see that there is a upwards balcony, very, very beautifully carved, of just overall a beautiful looking building. At the front door, you can see that there is light kind of shining through these set of glass panels kind of looking out into the street. All the curtains are closed. I'll say anyone proficient with awareness, please make a wits awareness check.
Talisen is. However, I'm going to request that he take a penalty in this role because he's not at his best.
Take a -2.
That's 2 successes for me.
2 for Asher as well.
That is no successes for Talisen.
For Talisen, you are distracted by the aromas and the sights, and as you're walking, there's this moment that you can swear you hear in the background, almost like horse hooves kind of striking against the cobblestones. The air and the sound of the water hitting against the side, and there's just this moment that you're taken back before you have to kind of steady yourself and just kind of stop there at the middle of the street as Asher and Nakano, you arrive looking at the front entrance. You can see that there look to be two shadowed forms in near the front entrance, not outside but inside. You can't tell what they're wearing, you can't tell their attire. However, on the roof, you can hear what sounds like some sort of speech, but it's very hard to tell at this position.
I'm gonna lay a hand on Talison's shoulder, and I'm gonna say, if you don't think you can do this, you can wait in the car. Me and Asher, we won't think any less of you.
And Talisen will sort of jolt when he feels Nakano's hand on his shoulder and close his eyes for a minute and take a very deep breath. No, this needs to be done. One way or another. I must see this through.
Alright.
And you'll notice a bit of clarity about him when he opens his eyes and takes that breath out. What do we have? Are we going through the front door? Are we going to have you do one of your stealth specials and go through the windows? How are we addressing this?
I might have a plan.
What have you got? Please regale us.
The only weapons that I have brought are the katana and wakizashi that Talisen got me, and I have kept them in their original wrappings, just carrying them under my arm. I would like to use Mask of 1,000 Faces to sort of just look like someone who would be going into this building normally.
You currently have no perspective on who exactly would enter the building. However, I do believe as part of the power, people just look at you and their kind of mental projection of who they think you should be kind of occurs, if my memory is correct.
That sounds right to me too, and I'll take your word for it.
Can Talisen see that Nakano's using those weapons that he bought him, that he originally said he wasn't going to?
I mean, nah, he's carrying them in the original packaging, like a big parcel underneath his arms.
Talisen will just have a look and a small, very small smile, tiny little trace of the Talisen that you know, and just say, "You seem very well equipped," and just leave it at that.
Okay, so then for Nakano, please make a rouse check as you activate the Look of 1,000 Faces.
Oh, crit success.
Ooh, mama. Okay, you fine as you shroud yourself in this potent energy as you feel this slight part of your vitae burn before it almost seems to ripple and spread across your body before you become this faceless, mortal-looking person.
Just follow my lead. And I'm going to just start walking into the building.
Okay. You arrive at the front door. It is locked.
I'm gonna knock.
Moment passes.
Is there a buzzer or a keycard panel?
There is not. However, I would like Nakano, please make a manipulation plus deception plus obfuscate check.
By deception, do you mean subterfuge or...
Subterfuge, thank you.
Someone's been playing their fair share of D&D.
That's 5 successes, 1 crit which includes 1 crit success on the blood die.
You step up to the door. You knock. As a few moments pass before you see a figure open the door wide. As you can see what looks to be a woman. It seems to be reddish brown hair, kind of cut short, like more of a buzz. As she kind of looks towards you. Huh. Why are you here? Your shift isn't supposed to start at this hour.
I was sent with a delivery for Mayor Tremblay. I gesture to the packaged swords under my arm.
She kind of looks at the package before she looks up at you, and then looks over towards Talisen and Asher, at which point she just kind of cocks her head back a little bit and is like, why did you bring these two along?
Their security. These are very precious items that the mayor ordered, and he didn't want them getting stolen.
So, they're with the Conductor now.
Yes.
I thought these were the two fools who were going to be the thorns in our sides.
Yes. They're with the Conductor now.
Asher gives a little bow and says, thorns are just a distraction from the rose.
Make a manipulation plus subterfuge check with a 1 die penalty. Talisen, you look at her face and immediately clock her. This was one of the soldiers who stormed the theater.
1 die penalty, but I have my enchanting voice.
Yes, you do. So I will definitely keep that in mind.
I'd also like to sense the unseen to see if there's any arcane or unnatural defenses that I haven't noticed.
You do not sense anything.
2 successes.
2 successes. Just gonna do a quick check here. It's about what I expected. She looks at you. Huh.
I do have proof we are working for the Conductor.
You do.
Yes, the second half of the delivery. And I open my satchel and show the book.
Interesting. All right. Well, in which case, let's make this quick, huh? She kind of waves you all inside. You walk up the stairs with this red-haired woman. You can see that she has a pistol holstered at her hip. As she goes up the stairs to this double-doored room, you see she comes up to the top and just gives it a good knock. Monsieur Tremblay, we've got visitors. Point. The door opens as you see what looks to be a haggard man. Kind of stout, looks very like office professional-esque. Like, seems to be very tired, sleep bags under the eyes, wrinkles, like, essentially just looks like really out of it. You can see in the background what looks to be a bed where you can see that someone is lying, attempting to try to fall asleep. This guy kind of has like brown hair that looks like it's been slicked back, but now is kind of falling loose. He has what looks to be some sort of cigarette as he kind of pulls it out and kind of blows it in your guys' direction, and it smells dank as hell. Oh, I am sorry. What's going on? Who are you?
Hello, Mayor Tremblay.
Sorry, you're a very hard man to get light of. It's so dark in here. Who are you?
Can Talisen reach forward? So it's Tremblay, who's smoking the cigarette, yes?
Yeah.
Taliesin will lean forward and say, "Let us just say we are the new help, and I shall start firstly by offering you a better cigarette." And I'll lean forward. I'll give him one of my good cigarettes, and I'll use awe on him, which I don't need to roll for, I believe. And now he loves me.
Just gonna make a quick check here. Please make a manipulation persuasion plus presence.
Okay, cool. That's all my dice.
What is the positioning within this room? There's someone in the bed. There's the woman that escorted us in.
It's the three of you, the woman who escorted you, the mayor in front of you, and it seems that there's someone sleeping in a bed in the background. You can see on the far side, which would have been on the back side of the building where you came in from the front, you can see that there's two open doors that seem to lead into a balcony that overlooks the area. There you can see what looks to be a little bit of smoke coming from an ashtray that's kind of been set outside, along with a cell phone.
So one of my advantages is Bloodhound. I can smell the resonance of a human's blood without tasting it. The difficulty increases for perfume, like cigarette smoke or distance. Can I try to figure out if the individual sleeping in that bed has a mortal blood resonance, and same with the mayor?
Sure. Does it say for Bloodhound what kind of check that would be?
It is Resolve plus Awareness at difficulty 3, increased difficulty for perfume or distance. Lower it for more intimate contact.
Understood. Okay, go ahead and make the check.
4 successes.
4 successes. You cannot tell the resonance from the person sleeping in the bed. That person is too far away, and the smell of the essentially the joint is too strong. However, for Monsieur Tremblay, you do smell a blood resonance.
That was 7 successes, by the way.
At which point he's just kind of holding the cigarette, kind of looks to you, Talisen. Well, thank you. I'll take this. So who are you coming from directly?
I'll sort of incline to Nakano, almost to gesture that he knows the fine minutiae, and invite Nakano to speak.
We are coming from the Conductor.
You see his eyes shoot up at that. Oh, well then please, what are you doing? Please come in. Just let us go to the balcony. My wife, she's trying to sleep. Kind of sucks down the rest. You can see the guard is coming in with you before he goes. Marlene, just wait outside. These people mean no harm. Let's go. And leads you guys quietly to the balcony. You can see that it is a very beautiful view of Old Port, lots of light kind of shining, some light rippling off the distant waters of the St. Lawrence. People kind of walking in amongst the cobblestone streets late at night. You can see that the mayor just kind of comes out, grabs a lighter, begins lighting the cigarette that you gave him, Talisen. Kind of begins to smoke. So, what is your news?
We bring word of some interesting developments in our current productions in this city. I would like to try and lay the sword package on top of the table, on top of the cell phone, so that it's obscured by the package.
He kind of, while you're doing this, goes and shuts the double doors, kind of leading to the balcony before turning back. What is this?
Now, is it just the 3 of us and the mayor at this point?
Yes, there are glass doors that look into the bedroom. Currently, the only person that is in there seems to be asleep.
Where did Marlene go?
She was told to be left in the hallway that you came from, but those doors have been closed. So essentially, it's just you guys out on the balcony, only someone else sleeping in the bed in the next room, and then the next room after that is the hallway.
And the appearance of this building, it's is it like a modern apartment building that's mostly glass? Is it individual windows in an otherwise brick building or stone?
It's a large stone building, about 2 stories high.
Oh, okay, only 2 stories.
You see, there have been some good news and bad news. The good news is that we have 2 new soldiers in this war, and I gesture to Asher and Talisen. In addition, I flip open the package so that the katana and wakizashi are revealed. The 3rd problematic member has been dealt with. If you get my meaning.
I asked the conductor, do not bring any of this information to me.
The conductor is concerned that there are individuals within the organization that are spreading too much information. The conductor wanted us to have you report everything you know about the operation and everything that you have potentially shared.
Speak plainly, my friend. You have a leak.
Why did he not send Francine? Why did he not call me to his office?
Why do you think he didn't go through the foot soldiers? He requires powerful, loyal soldiers to make sure orders and information like this get to the correct source without corruption or reaching other ears along the way. His circle of trust is quite small at the moment. It is lucky that you and us are among it.
Even smaller a circle of trust now that Lake's apartment building was burned down.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with Lake.
A colleague of Marlene's.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, I don't know all their names. There was an assault?
Yes. And so the circle of trust grows smaller. We will require your report.
Well, as per my agreement with Monsieur Bouchard, we are essentially setting up the systems, and I'm simply a little bit worried. If there are people who are out to betray us, perhaps it is best that I go to Monsieur Bouchard at his earliest convenience. I wanted to talk to him anyway. I'm really in need of a session.
In need of a session. Understandable. I'll give Asher a look. To basically say, Thrall.
Asher gives like the slightest nod, and says, "I'm afraid that it is not convenient at the moment. That is why we were sent. Share with us what we need, and then we will report back." How far along is the system?
What do you mean by system?
You just said you're implementing and putting systems in place.
Well, as per the consultation, sure. I'm a little bit confused.
Cloud memory.
Okay. Okay. You see, he.
And then Asher looks to Taliesin and like gives kind of a go ahead nod.
Once I've noticed he's sort of with it again, I'll say, perhaps on the balcony may not be the most private place, given the leaks that we have had in our lines of communication. Is there a more private and intimate place that we could have this discussion?
Kind of shakes his head. Well, of course we could go for a walk, but as I was going to say, perhaps, at least I thought that it would be best that Monsieur Bouchard called me to his office to have this discussion.
As previously mentioned, Monsieur Bouchard is currently indisposed at the moment in regards to this information leak.
You previously said that?
Have you not been listening? You look incredibly
I'm sorry.
tired. Are you of right mind?
I am.
Are you sure? Are you well?
Mayor Tremblay, we can schedule an appointment with Mr. Bouchard for you. He has many offices. Which is it that you normally meet him at?
I only know of his main office. It's kind of just motions and points, just a few blocks that way. At Therapy Koran.
Which clan has a crown as their sigil? Ventru?
La Sombra.
I'll make a move. Just all right. Well, let's go ahead. Get inside. We can organize this in a a little bit more privacy. And I'll sort of turn him around and get him to open the doors. And then as the doors are open, or opening, so there's that sort of, he's distracted, and I'm going to lean into Asher and just say, we're running out of options here.
Perhaps we should ask a little bit more about his relationship with Francine.
See, and I'll walk him forward, and I'll sort of lean in closer to him, you know, in a like a conspiratorial, we need to keep this close manner, and I'll tell him, now, in regard to the loyalty of your guards and companions, it's Francine, the other gentlemen, or the other soldiers here. Tell us what you know. Tell us, can they be trusted? Are they loyal? We need to find this leak as quickly as possible, and while we trust you, we do not trust as many others. We need to investigate and shut this down quickly.
Well, I imagine that Monsieur Bouchard will be able to figure out more about Francine. She is his, representative. As far as the rest of the soldiers, I'm sorry, you informed me that I should be requesting more officers here. Monsieur Bouchard offered me these services.
Cloud memory.
And he just sets down. Look, I'm sorry, I think that I need some rest. I'm starting to forget things.
While this is all happening, I'm gonna re-wrap up the swords, surreptitiously slipping the cell phone into the wrappings as I do so, and pick it up and take it with me.
Yes.
Okay. No one is looking in that direction, so you can do it with ease.
Awesome.
Mayor Tremblay? It is essential that you tell no one we were here. We are the Conductor's fixers.
Fine. Just please, get me an appointment with him.
Of course. You will order Marlene to say nothing as well?
They won't know. Or they won't say anything at the very least.
You will be contacted for your appointment tomorrow.
Wonderful. Thank you. At which point he leads you to the doors, opens them. You see Marlene standing there. The mayor just kind of looks to you all. Thank you. I appreciate it.
As we're leaving, I'll sort of, incline my head towards him, and then meet his eye, give a quick glance towards Marlene, and then meet his eyes again, to implant the suggestion that we're not sure whether she's loyal, don't trust her fully.
At which point he goes to close the doors before... Marlene, if you would mind just leading them out the front. Marlene nods.
Also, while we were walking out, Tyson, and I passed by the bed, would I be able to have used Sense the Beast on the person there?
Sure. You activate Sense the Beast. There is no beast inside this woman.
Cool.
What about Marlene?
No beast. At which point you guys arrive down the steps. You can watch as the mayor is watching you leave, as he's kind of like doing the overwatch, like making sure you get out okay. As Marlene leads you to the front door, opens it. Well, just ask that next time. Kind of looking to you, Nakano. Just let us know before you're coming. It was a bit abrupt.
I'm just the messenger, my friend. I don't give the orders.
I understand. Well, thanks, and see you later, I suppose.
Can I... I'll tell you what I want to do, and you'll tell me how noticeable it'll be. I would like to cut my palm with my fingernail and draw a ward against ghouls in the palm of my hand. And as soon as I wipe the blood off, it becomes invisible. And I'd like to reach back out to Marlene and say, we appreciate your assistance. And go to shake her hand.
She just looks at you, takes your hand. No effect. Just shakes it. She nods and closes the door.
I guess we head back to the car. As Nakano is just screaming internally.
Do we have time to scope out this therapy office tonight?
I see no reason why not.
I think it was clear to the three of us that that man was already a thrall.
To be brutally honest, I was getting concerned that we weren't getting enough information, or that we weren't going to get out of there without doing something unsavory. Tyson, very quickly, can you override a blood bond, or a making someone a thrall? So if for example, if I fed him some of my vitae, would that override someone else's vitae that's has him bound?
I would make that a contest of blood bonds. So essentially, it would be a roll-off to see whose blood bond would stick.
Yeah, and that would just be blood potency, right?
There's actually a blood bond rating that essentially, depending on how many swallows you give the target, that is equal to the amount to the dice pool of that rating. But every time that they drink from you, you make a rouse check. So you would be making, if you wanted to do all 6, because you could do 6 at once. If you wanted to do all of them right up front, you would have to make 6 rouse checks.
Okay, good to know. I'll just say, I was at the stage where I was thinking where we might need to make him a thrall of our own. I am grateful it did not come to that. I swear to God, that last part of information is very interesting.
Indeed. Let's see what other information we... Let us see what other information we have gotten. And I would like to slip the cell phone out of the packaging.
Oh, you sly devil. Oh, very well done. However, we have now stolen a phone and made our names known. That we know the some of the leadership behind this conspiracy or whatever. There is going to be retribution against us. We need to be on our guard.
We already needed to be on our guard, Talisen. We were already enemies of this organization. I don't think we are in any deeper shit than we already were.
Well, sure, there is a difference between having an enemy and having an enemy you know can strike at you. And I think we are now perceived as the latter, or will be very soon. So, we will need to be more careful, is all I'm trying to say. I do not want to lose you both. Let us go have a look at what you have collected, and then perhaps have a look at this crown therapy.
Tyson, can I glean anything from this cell phone?
Please make an intelligence technology check.
Ah, I finally get to use my technology stats. That is 4 successes, including a bloody critical, or messy critical, or whatever the terminology is.
You begin trying to unlock the phone. The first few times are a little bit aggravating, and you do get to the point where it's 3 tries until it's being locked, 2 tries until it's locked, before you try a essentially 4, 3, 2, 1 before it unlocks.
Yeah, that tracks.
Searching through the cell phone, a lot of the stuff is business stuff, but just as far as administration emails for the local government, getting into contact with certain representatives. One thing you do find strange is you do find a note that has been kind of written in the notepad section. It would read, "Activists in Point St. Charles getting too hectic. deal with them.
Activists.
Either this is talking about us or our new benefactor. Either way, I think bad times.
You look at another note, kind of written on the phone. It's detailing a lot of confusion. You do find on there looking into acquiring more pills from Mr. Bouchard. You see a lot of what look to be like diary entry notes, almost as if it were like a therapy journal. The last thing you do get like a hit on is in the emails. You do get a email address for 2 spots. You do find an email address for info@therapycuron.com. You also find an email address for francine@therapycuron.com. For the Francine at Therapy Curon, you look through the emails. The most recent ones have gone unanswered. But a while back, and for a fairly long time, Francine has been setting up appointments between Dr. Bouchard and the mayor. Info at Therapy Coron has requests for like drop points, one of which is the theater. There are no responses, multiple drop points. They read as simply as require assistance at blank address. There are no responses from those emails. It is simply just a one-way message.
So the theater being where the massacre happened.
Yes. And it was dated the same day that it occurred.
By the way, I'm not quite sure whether you two recognize this or not. She was one of the soldiers at the theater shooting. She was there, massacring our kind. We appear to have a lieutenant, a boots-on-the-ground lieutenant.
What are are any of the other locations detailed familiar? Is the Toreador clan base on there by any chance?
It is not. The information from those spots, one of them, the most recent one, is the Faculty of Religious Studies, which is the headquarters for the ministry.
Yes. And what about the hotel where the Ravenous were staying?
That is not on there.
Okay, that was Ambrosia and Esther.
I just had a terrifying thought, by the way. Do you think that this collector has somehow distilled his vitae and been able to put it into a pill form?
Interesting.
It could be vitae within capsules.
Is more the point I was trying to say. If he could use this as a medication, the mayor may not even be aware he is enthralled. He may simply believe it is a doctor.
The pills could also be a sedative that knocks the mayor out, and then the vitae is fed to him. But I think the pills are more likely. If we could get one of those pills, I can acquire more information about the identity of the kindred giving them.
We need it. We need it. For that reason, but also, he has, if these are capsules, he has, or pills, he has the potential to enslave the minds of the entire city, if he produces enough. I hope I'm only being dramatic. However, the implications of something like this are far-reaching and quite terrifying for anyone who wants to have some measure of free will, especially if this individual is powerful. I am very concerned hearing this.
If that is the case, then I am afraid we all know what our next location must be that we must visit.
Nakano, do you think that you would be able to keep yourself hidden if Taliesin and I went in for couples therapy?
I love it.
I think it would be the best way to get all three of us in the room. That is assuming that we can get an appointment. If the therapy office is just a front, they will not bother.
Certainly I will be a fly on the wall.
Do you want to have a turbulent relationship? Or are we looking to spice things up, my dear?
Don't get ahead of yourself, Taliesin. There are many definitions of partnership.
Oh, I very much like this idea. My dear, shall we? And Taliesin will hold out his arm in the traditional, linking arms manner.
You guys head down the cobblestone streets, eventually turning back into essentially normal flat asphalt, kind of with the assistance of the phone. You guys are easily able to make your way to a small, essentially what looks to be a slight divot into the wall. It looks just like an everyday door that would lead to like upper floors of what looks to be offices above, like this very old brick worn building. Very everyday. Looking at the door, it's kind of one of those entranceways that has like the small marquees on the outside to tell you which floors have the different office spaces. So it's not a very ostentatious entrance. As you can see on the second floor, there is Therapy Kuron. As the third and fourth floor are the Prism main headquarters.
Like head office?
Yeah.
It's all of our guys.
Well, shit. Perhaps we would be better off with a stakeout. And then perhaps we could request Bo to go into couples therapy instead of us.
A few moments pass before you hear that door. As the door's lock seems to have been buzzed open.
I'm pretty sure they know we're here. And besides, we've not yet done our favor for our new friends. I would not like to jeopardize our relationship by asking too much of them too early.
I think underneath his suede jacket, Asher is wearing his ballistic vest. Like underneath, he has like a button-down shirt over it. He has his jacket, but he's wearing the ballistic vest.
Taliesin will have the ballistic vest. He'll lean more into that partier look. He'll have the vest underneath, but he'll have the coat. He'll play with a little bit of eyeliner on his eyes to make it look like he's sort of been out all night. And he'll make sure that his flask is very easily visible from his pocket to make it look like he's been partying and he's carrying a little bit of extra weight because, let's just say, he hasn't been taking as good a care of himself as he could have been.
He's bloated from all the booze.
Pretty much, yeah.
Taliesin. Actually, what name should I be calling you, Taliesin?
In this instance, let me try and disguise my identity some. And I'll sort of go through the identities that I've used in the past, and I'll settle on my Scotsman, and I'll say, well, in that case, call me Dermot.
Taliesin, weren't you about to transition into an identity as Danny? Or is that the dead one? Who's the new one?
I've not made it yet. I'm in the process of getting the identity documents and the fingerprints done and all that. This is one that I've used in the past that would still be age appropriate. So I can use Dermot. He's just not my new common one at the moment.
I guess this is happening.
You've got a problem with Scottish lovers. We can do it just fine from across the sea. All you Canadians, you're all stuck up. You've got a problem loving a good, strong Scottish man.
Give me a moment. And Asher is going to grab onto Dermot's shoulder for support and try to push for premonition. And I am trying to focus on the most pressing danger.
Roll for premonition.
While he's doing his premonition, Taliesin is just going to sort of slightly rearrange it so that, we're walking with our arms around each other like a loving couple would.
6 successes. I'm focusing on whatever the most pressing danger is. And I'm kind of like pushing Taliesin away just a little bit. As if, yes, we are a couple, but I'm unhappy with him.
You activate premonition as you feel yourself fall backwards into your trance. As you see yourself on what looks to be a large set of steps, ever expanding in both directions. As you look behind you, and you can see that the steps go down endlessly into darkness. As you turn forwards up again, you find a familiar looking church. This is St. Joseph's Oratory. As you are on the last few steps, about to ascend into this church, as you hear from the inside, burm, 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 as that trumpet plays. Burm, burm, as you can see a shadow approaching. A figure stepping forward. You can't make out the face, but you can make out the body, and you can make out these massive wings of flame sprouting from the back. As he holds the trumpet in one hand, brum, brum, as you kind of look towards the sky, as you see meteors, brimstone, hellfire descending from above, as you are kicked out.
No specific pressing danger about this building, though. That there's more important shit to worry about.
You get the sense you are walking on the last steps of this building. Entering it is you coming face to face with the trumpeter.
Are you okay, darling?
I make sure I have my handgun. I have my grenades. Gentlemen, this is going to be quite bad. But we have to do it anyway.
Quite bad as in we're all gonna die?
I'm not sure. Been there, done that, right? It seems like it's time to meet the man behind the curtain.
And I'll drop back into my Italian accent just for a moment, and I'll say, fair enough.
I have already cast Unseen Passage on myself, and I will now make a rouse check. I've packed for myself my makeshift wooden stake, my pistol, and a flashbang and an incendiary grenade.
And I'll turn around to sort of, I guess, back to the building and face those two, face my two companions, and I'll sort of take a deep breath. Then I'll lunge forward and just grab them both into a big hug. And I'll say, gentlemen, Armand Sforza is pleased to have met you both.
Asher takes one of Talisen's arms and moves him to where Nakano is, that he can see Nakano with Auspex.
Oh, that's right. Nakano's properly invisible, isn't he?
Yeah. Asher uses Sense the Unseen to bring Talisen and Nakano together.
For Asher, Please make a wits awareness check plus aspects.
4.
As you activate Sense the Unseen to sense Nakano, on the edge of your senses, you can sense 3 or 4 figures on the other side of the street. As you kind of turn, you see the outline of what look to be 4 Nosferatu, who are just watching as they all just kind of smile. Of the 4, 3 of them just kind of stay put, as a very familiar palish green woman just kind of looks under from what seems to be a hood and just kind of smirks, but doesn't do anything.
Asher calls out in Latin and says, "Our city has been invaded. Whether you like it or not, whether it's beneficial or not, this is the reality. Whatever mad scramble for power brought you to this point, I don't care anymore. They want to destroy us all. Will you stand there or stand with us?"
See, she just kind of stands there. The other 3 just kind of look to her. She just steps backwards.
"Very well. Live your sad second life, knowing that you could have done something with it. And then know that when the legacy of Samuel Haidt was dug up and dragged back into the night, and you had the chance to bury it in the dirt where it belonged, you stood by instead of stepping up. A leader can't lead from the shadows."
There's this moment of pause before you can almost hear almost a whisper. You don't see any of the forms move, as you just hear almost on the wind itself. "You think that is Samuel Haidt waiting for you? Oh, I promise, it is so much better."
Ambrosia, listen to me. Whatever your plans were, there's still time to change them. We can make this city a beacon within our world, within our community.
This is the plan.
And what were we all along? Scapegoats?
The necessary evil.
Are you just shouting this across the street?
You're only hearing it from Asher's perspective, and he's looking across the street at nothing.
But you definitely hear me say Ambrosia.
Point me at them. I'll have this through her throat.
I just rest my hand on Talison's arm to try to hold him back.
He's shaking. He's This is a very tangible, combatable cause of stress, anxiety, and threats to his friends. He's ready to go. All he needs to do is just see them, and he'll be right there.
Could I scry the soul?
Sure.
I'm focusing on Ambrosia. I need to make a rouse check.
Is there any resist, or is it just an automatic success?
Composure plus subterfuge for her. 8 successes.
Okay. You get 6 questions.
Holy shit. Is she afraid of who's inside?
A little bit, but there's more of a satisfaction.
From what I have been saying, is there any guilt around what she's done?
No.
How prepared is she for us to lash out at her rather than entering? Or how prepared was she for us to see her?
She seemed prepared. Very confident. A disconcerting amount.
Has the subject committed diablerie in the last year?
No.
Is the subject under the influence of blood sorcery or any other magic?
No.
I got several critical wins, which allows discovery of something unexpected, as determined by the storyteller. So I will use my last one for that, if that is okay.
Absolutely. The overconfidence for if you decide to attack her. It's disconcerting enough to you that strikes you as there are probably more of them than you see.
And we can assume the gangrel are here as well. did the other Nosferatu, like, they looked at her to judge what she was going to say. I turned to focus on them, and because I'm still using Sense the Unseen, I turn to look at them, and I say, why not follow the eldest? The one with honor.
I would like you to make a wits insight check.
Do I have a general idea of of where you're saying this to? Like, are you facing?
I'm facing like a spot across the street, but I don't think you can pick up one location, and I also have my hand on your arm trying to hold you back. 0 successes. And a 1 on the blood die.
Okay. You gain a compulsion. In this current situation, you have the compulsion perfectionism. This is going down the shitter. You need to get everything for the foreseeable future perfectly, or everything ends. It needs to walk that fine line. If it goes anywhere else, it's gonna screw it up. Everything.
I take out a burner, and I text Sebastian, and I text him, hope you're alive. Find Soul of Light. Assist. And I turn to Talisen, knowing Nakano is there. And Asher says, I feel like we just had this moment earlier tonight, but I need you two to trust me again. You two head inside. I'll deal with Ambrosia.
Oh no. If you're trying to persuade them, I've got some choice words. Come on. Taliesin is, like, visibly angry. Like, angrier that you said that. It's... You can tell at this point that he's not angry at you. Is that he's angry that he's not the one on the front lines. And that he's not the one taking the brunt. He finds the prospect that both you and Nakano will be in danger before him to be distressing and very aggravating. He's more than happy to throw himself into the fire if it means, shielding you two, and that's why he's about to put the mask down and just rush all of them. So the fact that you've said, trust me, I'll take the brunt of it, has really pissed him off.
Taliesin, my friend.
What?
We need to find the man behind the curtain. After all, when has one of my plans gone less than perfect?
You know I can persuade these people. With Nakano. What are you doing? Katsuo! Come on! I can do this!
We need a distraction. I'm it.
Why does that have to be you? Why can't it be me?
Can't shoot what you can't see.
I don't need to shoot them. Just get me close enough for a blade. That Ambrosia deserves it. You can't make your perfect world if you're not around.
Can I do something?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have my makeshift stake. I'm gonna look sad at Asher, but nod sadly at him, and I would like to stab the wooden stake into Talisen's back.
Okay. For staking rules, for this, it's considered what is known as a called shot, which means that if you're hitting a specific area, it's a -2 dice to your roll, but you need a total of 5 successes.
Am I able to help Nakano? Since I'm standing there talking to him, distracting him, holding him by the arm.
I would allow it. So it's only a -1 to the dice pool. He can also blood surge and use willpower if he wanted to.
Christ, I'm gonna cry, guys. Oh my god. Yeah, since Ethan offered to help, I think I got a called shot.
Oh, I will make you aware of this, Takeshi. If Nakano misses, it will deal superficial damage to Talisen.
I'm shot calling.
Do it, dude.
5 successes.
5 successes. Talisen, as you're looking towards Asher, you kind of look across the street and don't see anything before you look back and you feel your entire body lock as there's suddenly this striking pain between your ribs and your back as your entire body just locks up and you're just stuck.
So I'll be in the middle of my rant. I'll be like, "You can't have your perfect world if you're dead," and I'll reach for my mask and I'll pull it down so the mask is over my eyes, and I'm reaching for the sword, and then it'll just and I'll freeze with the mask down, reaching for my sword, and I'll just be falling backwards because I'll be in a like ready to move position. So without me controlling it, I'll just fall.
Nakano just catches you from behind.
I'm sorry, Talisen, but this is what Asher needs to do. And I'll look at Asher and I will say, "My friend, if I don't see you again..." And he's just gonna, like... This is one of the few times that you see Nakano, like, sort of break composure. And he hopes that that break of composure says more than any of his words could. And he just begins pulling Talisen into the building with him.
Roy, it has been the pleasure of my life to get to know you both.
Nakano, as you turn, bringing Talisen towards the door, you see the door actually swings open for you. As you see standing in front of you, like business attire, pale skin, this like deep contemplation on her face, Abigail Bray, blonde hair pulled up into a bun. Are you ready for your appointment?
I just look back at her, and I guess I'll drop the unseen passage, and I'll say, "Just do it."
And she just offers her hand towards the elevators.
And I pull both of us inside.
Okay. She closes the door, nods to you, Asher, heads towards the elevator. You guys enter. She presses to the 3rd floor, and you guys begin heading up.
As the door closes, Asher, with a shaky smile on his face, just says, "Everything's going according to plan." And then he's going to pull out his gun and try to shoot Ambrosia.
Okay. Please make a Dex plus firearms check.
I'm going to expend a point of willpower. 4 successes.
You turn. The gun fires as the bullet, and you see it impacts into Ambrosia's chest. Always have been a pest, Asher. I will enjoy this.
Yes, well, you're not as sweet as the name suggests. And I'd like to drop my tear gas grenades as a makeshift smoke bomb.
Okay. The tear gas spills out through the front. Are you going to attempt to hide?
Yeah, my goal is to lead them away.
Okay. Make a Dex plus stealth check.
Perfect, Asher. You have to be perfect. Perfect, you have to be perfect. 2 successes.
Okay. You turn into the smoke. Okay. And you begin running down the street. As you look back, and you do not see the Nosferatu following you. They've seemed to have vanished from your vision. However, you see on the rooftops what look to be 4 shadows looking down as the furs are illuminated in the moonlight. As you can see Esther and the gangrel looking down, and they just kind of smile before they turn and dash to the rooftops. And you just watch them as they just continue to hopping from one to the other.
I'll start firing on them as well, trying to make my way towards the water.
Okay. I'll say make 2 more shots with a 2 dice penalty.
2 successes.
You fire, shooting up towards the rooftops. You're beginning to hear shouts and screaming nearby. As you're shooting towards the rooftops, you just watch as the bullets glance off the sides, essentially the edges of the actual rooftop, as you are running full speed down towards the water. I'm going to make a quick check here. Actually, I think I will leave Asher at that point, racing towards the water, firing bullets. As for Nakano and Talisen, you are traveling up this very clean golden elevator. You see Abigail just kind of stands in front. It is good to have you finally here. I know the doctor has been meaning to meet you.
I would imagine. I pull the stake out of Talisen.
As soon as he does that, I'm going to pull my sword hand down, turn around to Nakano and grab him by the sort of like the scruff of his neck and just raise him right up against the wall. I was like, I trusted you! You are my friend! You left Asher to die! Why should I not kill you now?
Not yet. We have business first.
You claim to be a man of honor. That was not honorable! You coward! You should have fought! We could have killed Ambrosia. We could have turned. Ah! And he'll sort of drop Nakano and just punch his fist through the wall of the elevator. He's raging at the moment. In the time that you've known Talisen, you have not known him to lose control on this level. His eyes will sort of flick to Bray, and then he'll go at her with one of his hands and grab her by the throat and lift her up. You caused this! You were there! You killed our kin!
As you grab her and push her against the wall, you see the elevator doors open. As you see, standing in the entryway, you can see that there is a main table, essentially like a secretary's desk, set up there. And you can see 2 figures. One of which is a tall, pale-skinned gentleman, brown hair, a slight almost Monte Cristo around the face, slumped shoulders, this look of almost dejection across them. He looks almost weakened. As you can see, the second man slightly shorter, probably around 5'7", 5'8", reddish hair, kind of pulled back, very business, buttoned up shirt, nice slacks, a belt, nice shoes, as well as a light red beard that's coming in with a slight goatee across. As you hear the long-haired brown gentleman go, I just don't know what to do. I thought when he sent me that, I just didn't. At which point you see the person with the red hair kind of reach out and just touch his shoulder and go, it's all right, Sebastian. Abusers often reach out to try to recontrol those who they hurt. It's a usual cycle of pain. Take care of yourself. We have beds. Go to your room. Enjoy the peace and quiet. At which point Sebastian just kind of steps back, and you can see he's just riddled with this what almost looks like an emotional grief before he looks over towards the group of you. His eyes go wide and he begins to scurry down the hallway. As the gentleman with the red hair turns to the two of you holding Abigail up against the wall. Oh, Nakano, Talisen, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. And that's where we'll end it for tonight.
That son of a bitch!
You fucking madman!
Oh, next episode will be interesting.
I'm physically shaking. Sorry, let me look at my character sheet real quick, and let me read some stuff off to you guys. Advantages. Mage companion, 3 points. You have a friend and ally who just happens to be a mage.
Yeah, while you're mentioning that, you can, as of the moment, you can take that off your character sheet.
Oh, brutal. Hold on. How do I... oh, God. And let me just head over to flaws real quick. Flaw, secret friendship. You have a secret friendship with a denizen of the world of darkness, like a mage. Knowledge of this would not only destroy your reputation among the kindred, it would place you on their hit list. You must always cover up any activities that deal with this friendship.
That was heavy, that episode. Holy shit.
Holy shit, Takeshi, with the steak, that was incredible. Oh my god, the writers on this show do not quit. Oh my god, that's why they don't give us the scripts until we record.
That was a fucking good episode, guys.
So on my character sheet, Asher's ambition is, I will be the one to bring the supernatural community together. And his desire is to grow powerful enough to protect those that trust me. And I haven't gotten into this with Tyson. But Asher's touchstone is mage friend who looks identical to someone you loved in life.
Oh no. Oh, that's terrible.
So with that joyous piece of news, does anyone have anything to plug?
Go listen to October Jones and Fish with Legs on Spotify, octoberandfish.ca, and wherever good podcasts are to be found.
Find a way to get an extra half hour of sleep. Go drink a glass of water and eat something that is or was green.
Although preferably not something that used to not be green and is now green.
Once again, guys, go get your jab. There's been, I know it hasn't really gotten better in the world, but I know there's been some more cases in Australia. So lockdowns suck for everyone. So go get your jab, and we'll see if we can nip this in the bud before it does any more damage.
Well, I want to thank everyone for listening. I hope you are enjoying this content provided to you by The Rook and the Rascal. If you want more content like this, make sure to check out our YouTube channel, Three Kings Loot, where you'll be able to find our playlist of all of Montreal by Night, or check us out on Spotify, or wherever you get your better podcasts. So, without further ado, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. This podcast is possible because of viewers like you. This story, all names, characters, and incidents portrayed in the production are fictitious. No identification with actual persons living or deceased, places, buildings, and products is intended or should be inferred. Thank you.